Today, we are going to talk about Ippf. What is the Ippf? You can see the picture over there that summarizes what the Ippf is. You have the mandatory guidance on the top and the strongly recommended guidance. But if someone asks you what an Ippf is, these are some of the answers you can give. This is a practices framework. It's like a roadmap, sort of, that informs auditor on what they need to do to make their auditing more effective and value adding. So it is actually a practices framework. Another part of the mandatory statement or the standard are the interpretations, which are intended to clarify terms or concepts used within the statements. And when you read the standards and the interpretations, you stand a very good chance of enhancing your understanding of the standards for correct application. So you need to go through the standards and their interpretations to make sense of the standard itself. Now, why do we need standards as internal auditors? These provide basic principles for the practice of internal auditing. It's a framework for promotion of value addition. You remember in our definition, we are talking about adding value and improving operations. And you can only achieve that if you implement the standards articulated in the Ippf. It's a basis for evaluating internal auditing performance. I'll talk briefly about the quality assurance, particularly external assessment. What they do, they assess the extent to which you have done your audit in accordance with the standards. So it's a basis for evaluation of our performance. It also improves organizational processes and operations. If you apply the standards correctly, you stand a very big chance of assisting your organizations to improve operations. So basically, that's why we need standards. Now, how many internal auditors have Ippf books? You see the change now of responses. 65% say no, they don't have Ippf books. You see? And only 35% said they have copies. And it is very interesting because 74% have knowledge of the Ippf, but only 35% have the Ippf books. Where do they get that knowledge anyway? So that's an area for further research. Now, how many CEOs have copies of Ippf books? Because CEOs are our key customers or clients. 76% said no, meaning that their CEOs did not have Ippf books. And only 24% said yes. And we are complaining that we are not receiving cooperation from CEOs. While even the framework that we use for internal auditing, they don't have, you see. And internal audit activities with copies of Ippf, only 21% of the activities or departments or directorates had actually copies of Ippf. 79% did not have copies of Ippf. So it means they don't have any reliable reference. Whether auditors are conversant with principles and rules of conduct, that is the code of ethics, 13% said no, 87% said yes. So majority of auditors are aware about the principles and rules of conduct of the code of ethics. Organizations with written codes of ethics, 46% said yes, and 54% said no. So most of the respondents did not have the CAIP in place. Whether internal audit activity has a CIA, actually 85% they don't have certified internal auditors. That's an area that we need really to work hard. Dual reporting relationship embedded in the charter, majority said yes, Internal audit charter approved by the board, majority said yes. Internal audit charter in organizations, majority said yes. So ideally, most of the people are compliant with regards to the charter. Thank you very much for listening.